Most people have been lied to about money their entire lives, and that's why it slips through their fingers. The truth is bold, a little controversial, and absolutely life-changing. Money can show up right away the moment your mind is activated to receive it. Not after months of hustle, not after perfect timing, but now. And in this video, I'm going to trigger that shift inside you faster than you expect. Because once your subconscious activation kicks in, wealth energy starts reorganizing everything around you. You might feel skeptical, and that's good. Skepticism means your old limiting beliefs are trembling. But stay with me. You're about to discover why abundance doesn't respond to effort, it responds to vibrational alignment. Most people block large sums of money without even knowing it. They carry emotional patterns that choke their financial frequency. And the craziest part? None of those patterns are real. They're inherited illusions that keep you from instant manifestation. In a moment, as you listen, you'll feel something inside you click, a tiny shift that opens the door for abundance mindset to take over. And when that happens, the universe moves fast. You'll begin to notice signs from the universe, synchronicities, opportunities, numbers, symbols that weren't there before. Not because life changed, but because you did. I'll show you how to remove scarcity, turn your RAAS toward wealth, and let money flow in ways you've never experienced. So if you're ready to attract money now, not someday, not eventually, then breathe, stay present, and let this message rewire you. This is where the activation begins. A mentor would tell you that money manifestation doesn't follow the slow logic of time, it follows the quick logic of vibrational alignment. The moment your mind shifts, the field responds, almost as if wealth energy had been waiting for permission to move. People think large sums of money require long processes, but instant manifestation happens the second the subconscious activation reaches a new frequency. When your thoughts soften and your emotional body relaxes, abundance slips in easily. That's why money flow often appears suddenly, right after a mental release. And, as strange as it sounds, that release is the true spark of wealth expansion. Many people assume that attracting money now requires hustle, pressure, or a strategic plan, but the universe doesn't measure effort, it measures resonance. When your energy says, yes, the outcome rushes toward you without hesitation. This is the core of money manifestation. The speed isn't physical, it's vibrational. Once you stop forcing and start aligning, the field recalibrates instantly. You've probably felt that shift before, that moment when something just clicks. That click is what opens the space for instant manifestation to happen. It's wild how quickly the mind can unlock financial frequency when it stops fighting the old story. A single insight, a single reframe, a single moment of clarity can trigger wealth energy to reorganize around you. Think of times when opportunities appeared seemingly out of nowhere, a call, a payment, a new client, a solution. Those weren't coincidences, those were vibrational alignment in action. Money moves at the speed of permission, not the speed of effort. And permission always begins internally. The goal here is simple, to help you attract money now by activating the part of your mind that already knows how to receive abundance. You're not learning a new skill, you're remembering a natural ability. When the subconscious activation kicks in, it reorganizes your perceptions, dissolves limiting beliefs, and expands your ability to hold large sums of money. It feels like a quiet click, a shift from tension to ease. That shift is the doorway to wealth expansion, even if you don't see evidence of it yet. Think of this process like tuning a radio. If you're not on the right frequency, the message, the money, can't come through clearly. But once you tune into the right vibrational alignment, everything sharpens and flows. Abundance mindset isn't about pretending, it's about matching the energy of the result you want before it appears. And once the frequency matches, the manifestation doesn't stroll in, it rushes in. That's why people often say money shows up when they stop obsessing. Energetic alignment always beats effort. You might wonder how quickly this activation can happen. Honestly? In seconds. The subconscious doesn't need time, it needs direction. When you calm scarcity, remove limiting beliefs, and ignite wealth energy, the universe mirrors the shift immediately. That's why people experience sudden breakthroughs, unexpected deposits, or opportunities that seem perfectly timed. They didn't earn them in a linear sense, they aligned. And alignment is the secret backdoor to abundance. As we move forward, you'll notice your mind already beginning to soften, open, and reorient toward allowing money in effortlessly. This is the point where instant manifestation becomes not just possible, but natural. Something inside you is preparing to release the old narrative that money is slow or difficult. And once that release happens, your next challenge becomes understanding what has been secretly blocking your financial frequency all along. It's surprising how many people carry the silent belief that money is difficult, almost like a background noise they've stopped noticing. This belief doesn't just shape thoughts, it shapes vibrational alignment. When someone grows up hearing that money is scarce, unstable, or only comes through struggle, the subconscious stores that narrative as truth. Suddenly, even when they try to embrace abundance or money manifestation, their energy pushes wealth away. The mind doesn't sabotage intentionally, it simply repeats the frequency it knows. And until that frequency shifts, large sums of money seem unavailable. This old belief creates a kind of energetic tension, a subtle contraction that blocks the natural money flow. You might have felt it before, the guilt when money comes easily, the fear of spending, the hesitation to receive. These emotions are fingerprints of limiting beliefs that whisper, you must work harder, or you haven't earned it yet. But none of these signals describe reality, they describe conditioning. Scarcity isn't a fact, it's a habit of perception. And like any habit, it dissolves once consciousness shines on it. Interestingly, when people say money is hard, what they truly mean is, my nervous system isn't familiar with receiving. The subconscious activation hasn't been trained to relax in the presence of wealth energy. That's why even small financial expansions can feel overwhelming at first. But once the subconscious learns to equate money with safety and possibility, the entire financial frequency of a person transforms. Suddenly, abundance feels normal, not shocking. Money becomes friendly instead of distant. That shift alone can triple someone's ability to attract money now. Think about this, two people can take the exact same action, yet one attracts abundance while the other hits a wall. The difference isn't effort, it's identity. If someone's inner dialogue is soaked in scarcity, the external world reflects it back. It's the classic instant manifestation paradox. Money doesn't arrive because you work more, it arrives because you stop vibrating lack. When the mind believes money is complicated, the universe mirrors that complexity. And when the mind believes money is natural, opportunities multiply effortlessly. You can observe this in everyday life. Notice how people who say, money always finds me, seem to experience coincidences, unexpected payments, and signs from the universe at the perfect time. Their RAS, the reticular activating system, is tuned to notice abundance instead of danger. The mind becomes a magnet for solutions instead of problems. But those who repeat, money is difficult, train their RAS to spot obstacles instead of openings. Same world, same economy, completely different outcomes. One powerful way to loosen this belief is by proving, gently and repeatedly, that money can enter through ease. Start with tiny examples, a discount, a refund, a small bonus, a found bill. When the mind witnesses money flow without struggle, the financial frequency begins to unwind old resistance. This is how subconscious activation works, not by force, but by evidence. Each moment of effortless receiving rewrites the internal script that once insisted money was hard. Before long, the script flips entirely. And as this belief dissolves, something remarkable begins to happen. Space opens. Not physical space, but energetic space, the space where abundance settles, grows, and expands. When the mind no longer clings to the narrative of difficulty, new pathways for wealth quietly begin forming. And in that space, even deeper patterns become visible, including the hidden limiting beliefs most people don't even realize they carry. Most people don't notice how subtle limiting beliefs shape their wealth energy, almost like invisible threads pulling their financial frequency downward. One of the strongest is the idea that there's no space for me, a belief that quietly cancels money manifestation before it even begins. When someone carries that assumption, they shrink their identity, play small, and unconsciously block large sums of money because they don't feel there's room for their abundance. But the universe isn't a crowded marketplace, it's an infinite field. Space isn't taken, it's created through vibrational alignment. Another sneaky belief is the fear that the market is saturated. People repeat this phrase without realizing it's a story, not a law. Saturation is a perception filtered through scarcity, not an actual barrier. Even industries that seem full continue expanding for those who experience an identity shift and believe they can attract money now. When vibrational alignment is strong, opportunities that shouldn't exist suddenly appear. The subconscious activation opens cracks in reality that were always there, but unseen. This is how abundance sneaks in through the side door. A third belief, often unspoken, whispers, "I'm not special." This one cuts deeper than people think, because it attacks identity rather than circumstances. When someone doubts their own essence, they automatically reject wealth energy, not consciously, but emotionally. Yet money flow doesn't respond to talent or uniqueness, it responds to frequency. The moment a person accepts their inherent worthiness, even quietly, their financial frequency jumps. And in that jump, instant manifestation becomes possible, not because they changed who they are, but because they stopped arguing against themselves. Then comes the classic belief, "I must suffer to earn money." This is one of the heaviest forms of limiting beliefs because it ties wealth to pain, guilt, and exhaustion. People raised with this idea feel uncomfortable when abundance comes easily, as if ease were a sign of cheating the system. But wealth energy thrives in ease, not strain. Money manifestation accelerates when the mind unlinks wealth from suffering. Some of the wealthiest, most peaceful people on earth got there because they embraced ease as a strategy, not a luxury. That's true abundance mindset. Another surprisingly common belief is the idea that spirituality and money don't mix. Many fear that wealth will corrupt them or disconnect them from purpose. But energetic alignment doesn't choose sides, it amplifies whatever frequency you hold. When someone integrates spirituality with abundance, their money flow becomes cleaner, more intentional, more expansive. This is where large sums of money often arrive with surprising synchronicity, because there's no internal conflict blocking the path. Wealth expansion is natural when the soul and the wallet stop arguing. What makes these beliefs tricky is that they operate invisibly. People don't wake up thinking about them, they simply act from them. The RAS searches for evidence to confirm them, reinforcing scarcity without ever announcing its motives. But once these beliefs rise to consciousness, they lose power instantly. Awareness disrupts the pattern, allowing financial frequency to shift upward. And once a person sees how these beliefs run the show, they can choose new ones consciously, beliefs that open rather than close the money flow. As each limiting belief dissolves, identity begins to reorganize itself, quietly preparing the mind for a deeper transformation. Because beneath every belief about money lies the real mechanism of manifestation, who you believe you are in relation to wealth. And once we step into that territory, the game changes entirely. It's fascinating how a person's identity determines the exact amount of money they allow into their life. Not consciously, of course, consciously, everyone wants abundance. But on the deeper levels of subconscious activation, people always manifest what matches their internal sense of who I am financially. If someone sees themselves as someone who gets by, their financial frequency ensures they only ever get by. If they see themselves as someone who attracts money now, large sums of money flow in almost effortlessly. Identity is the blueprint, money simply follows the design. Most people were never taught that identity vibrates. They think wealth comes from action, strategy, or discipline alone. But identity is what sets the vibrational alignment that actions operate from. Two people can take the exact same steps, yet one experiences wealth expansion while the other stays stuck. The difference? One has an inner identity that says, I am someone abundance responds to, while the other quietly believes, money isn't for people like me. And the universe always mirrors the louder frequency, the emotional one, not the logical one. You can observe identity at work in the smallest habits. Someone with a scarcity identity hesitates before investing, expands fear before curiosity, and assumes opportunities are too good to be true. Meanwhile, someone aligned with wealth energy approaches money with calm, clarity, and expectation. They don't chase, they attract. They don't shrink, they expand. Their RAS is tuned to signals of abundance, not danger. And because they expect money flow, their subconscious guides them towards circumstances that match that expectation. One practical example is pricing. A person with a low-income identity will undercharge, apologize, and explain themselves. Someone with a wealth identity anchors their value and speaks with ease. Same skill, same service, totally different results. Another example, investments. A scarcity identity says, what if I lose? while an abundance mindset says, what if this expands me? Identity frames reality, and reality echoes identity back, over and over again. That echo becomes someone's entire financial life. Changing identity is less dramatic than people imagine. It doesn't require a big ritual, it requires consistent vibrational alignment with the version of yourself who already lives in abundance. This can start with small daily choices, choosing comfort around money instead of fear, choosing to spend with intention instead of guilt, choosing to receive without apology. Each choice tells the subconscious, this is who I am now. And slowly, identity shifts like a radio dial adjusting to a clearer frequency. And once identity shifts, money has no choice but to shift with it. Financial frequency recalibrates, instant manifestation accelerates, and signs from the universe begin appearing to confirm the new energetic alignment. People often describe it as things suddenly working, but it's not sudden, it's identity catching up with possibility. When someone internalizes the truth that abundance is part of who they are, the universe treats it as fact. Money flows where it is welcomed, not where it is chased. As this new identity becomes stable, a powerful opening emerges, the space where the mind becomes ready to reprogram itself through simple, direct affirmations that bypass old stories and speak directly to the subconscious. And among those affirmations, one stands out for its ability to unlock money flow faster than complex visualizations ever could. There's a moment in every abundance journey when the mind becomes ready to receive a new command, something simple enough for the subconscious to accept without resistance. That's why the affirmation, money is easy for me now, works so powerfully. It bypasses the limiting beliefs that insist wealth must be complicated and replaces them with a pattern of ease. Instant manifestation doesn't require intensity, it requires clarity. And this sentence carries the cleanest vibrational alignment you can offer your financial frequency. Many people underestimate the power of a short affirmation, assuming complex visualizations or elaborate rituals are more effective. But the subconscious prefers simplicity. Long visualizations often activate overthinking, which reactivates scarcity, slowing money manifestation. A clean, direct phrase creates subconscious activation because it feels believable, repeatable, and emotionally accessible. When said consistently, it begins rewiring identity, dissolving limiting beliefs, and opening the door for large sums of money to enter with less resistance. The brilliance of money is easy for me now is that it speaks as a present truth instead of a future wish. The word now anchors the affirmation in the current vibrational field, signaling the universe, and your RAS, that abundance isn't something you're chasing but something you're aligning with in this moment. This subtle shift triggers a powerful energetic alignment, turning your nervous system from tension to receptivity. And receptivity is where money flow accelerates. You can test this yourself with a small experiment. Spend an entire day repeating this affirmation softly in the background of your mind. Notice how your energy softens, how decisions feel lighter, how resistance loosens its grip. You may catch subtle signs from the universe, repeating numbers, unexpected discounts, coincidences that feel oddly timed. These aren't random, they're reflections of a changing financial frequency. When the inner script changes, the outer world begins whispering back. This affirmation also works because it contradicts the old identity without overwhelming it. If someone has spent years believing money is difficult, telling themselves, I'm a millionaire right now, creates internal rejection. But saying, money is easy for me now, feels like an achievable shift. It invites expansion rather than forcing it. It allows the subconscious to relax into a new possibility instead of defending the old story. And a relaxed subconscious is fertile ground for wealth expansion. As this new phrase becomes familiar, something profound begins happening. The RAS starts scanning the environment for proof that money is, in fact, easy. Suddenly, opportunities stand out more clearly. Intuitive ideas feel stronger. People who can help appear unexpectedly. Even problem solving becomes faster. This happens because vibrational alignment tells the mind what to look for, and the mind responds obediently. The affirmation becomes a compass that points toward abundance. And once the mind begins noticing these new patterns, it naturally steps into a more receptive state, a state where signals, symbols, and synchronicities start appearing more frequently, guiding you gently toward the next level of manifestation. Which brings us to an essential part of the process, understanding how your brain's reticular activating system starts revealing signs that your financial field is already shifting. When the mind enters true receptivity, a fascinating mechanism activates. The reticular activating system, or RAS, begins filtering reality through the lens of abundance instead of fear. Most people don't realize how strongly the RAS influences money manifestation. It decides what you notice, what you ignore, and what opportunities you interpret as meant for you. Once your financial frequency rises, this system starts showing you signs from the universe that wealth energy is already shifting in your direction. It's not magic, it's neurology tuned to vibrational alignment. Think of the RAS like a spotlight in a dark room. When you lived under scarcity, the spotlight pointed at everything that confirmed limiting beliefs, bills, obstacles, saturated markets, doubts. But once subconscious activation begins, that same spotlight turns toward abundance mindset. Suddenly the world feels different, not because it changed, but because you changed your frequency. That's why instant manifestation feels sudden. The RAS finally highlights what was always available. This system also amplifies intuitive nudges. You might walk past a cafe and feel pulled to enter, only to meet someone who becomes a client. You may get a random idea that leads to large sums of money. You might see an email subject line that sparks a solution you needed. These aren't coincidences, they're the RAS aligning your perception with opportunities that match your upgraded vibrational alignment. When the mind is softened, it becomes a magnet. When it's aligned, it becomes a guide. You'll also notice symbols appearing repeatedly, almost as if the universe were speaking your language. Numbers like 111, 999, or 444 may show up unexpectedly. You might repeatedly see images connected to abundance, gold, sunflowers, waves, animals, or patterns that seem oddly timed. These signs don't cause money manifestation, they confirm that your financial frequency is shifting. They're breadcrumbs leading you toward an expanded identity. And the RAS makes sure you don't miss them. One powerful example of RAS activation is noticing opportunities you previously overlooked. A friend mentions an investment, and suddenly it feels aligned. A skill you ignored starts looking like a pathway to money flow. A new client appears after months of silence. Previously, these things might have passed through your awareness unnoticed. But with the abundance mindset activated, the brain finally recognizes them as relevant. When relevance changes, reality rearranges. As your RAS tunes itself to wealth energy, you'll feel a subtle change. Excitement replaces anxiety, possibility replaces doubt, and receiving becomes more natural than resisting. This shift creates a feedback loop. The more you notice abundance, the more abundant your perceptions become, which amplifies vibrational alignment further. And before long, your external world begins reflecting that internal expansion in undeniable ways. And once these signals start appearing consistently, something even more intriguing unfolds. The universe begins sending unmistakable signs that your money manifestation is already unfolding, signs so clear, so synchronized, that even the skeptical part of your mind starts paying attention. As your financial frequency rises, 3 particular signs often appear to confirm that your money manifestation is already taking shape. The first is the appearance of symbols that seem oddly specific or repetitive. Things you don't normally notice suddenly stand out. For some, it's turtles showing up everywhere, representing steady but unstoppable abundance. For others, it might be a sequence like 999, signaling completion of old limiting beliefs. Your RAS highlights these symbols because your energetic alignment is shifting, quietly preparing you to attract money now. Another strong sign is the sudden presence of sunflowers or other bright, expanding images in your environment. These visuals mirror wealth energy, open, receptive, radiant, and upward-reaching. A person might see sunflower patterns in clothing, decor, online posts, or even in conversations. It doesn't matter where they appear, what matters is how they feel. They trigger subconscious activation, signaling that large sums of money are moving closer. The RAS doesn't show these symbols by accident, it shows them because your inner world is ready for expansion. The third sign comes through synchronicities that feel too precise to ignore. You might think of someone and they message you with an opportunity. You might need extra income and suddenly a new client appears. You may hear phrases like abundance, wealth, or money flow repeatedly throughout the day. These aren't coincidences, they're indicators that instant manifestation is already in motion. When your vibrational alignment stabilizes, reality becomes responsive, almost conversational. What's powerful is that these signs appear before the physical money does. They function like the universe tapping your shoulder, saying, "Stay open. Something is shifting." Many people misinterpret the signs as meaningless, but they're actually the RAS interpreting energetic alignment in visual and experiential form. The more you acknowledge them, the stronger the money manifestation becomes. Attention is a form of permission, and permission accelerates wealth expansion. You might notice, too, that emotional signs accompany the external ones. A sudden calmness around money, a feeling of neutrality where fear used to be, or a gentle sense of inevitability, as if abundance is already on the way. This emotional shift is one of the clearest indicators that the subconscious has released major limiting beliefs. When the inner tension dissolves, the outer world begins rearranging itself to match the new identity. And that's when financial breakthroughs start feeling natural instead of surprising. These signs also reveal something deeper. Your identity shift is already happening. You're no longer operating from scarcity, you're operating from expansion. The universe mirrors that transition with synchronicity, repetition, and symbolic guidance. And once you begin recognizing these signs consistently, you can be sure that money flow is increasing, not randomly, but intentionally. The signs confirm the alignment long before the bank account does. That's how manifestation works. And as these signs strengthen, you reach a point where the next step becomes essential, practicing the final ritual of permission, the one that teaches you how to stop controlling the how and fully open the energetic space for money to enter from multiple, unexpected directions. The essence of the final ritual of permission, releasing the need to control how the money will arrive. Most people unknowingly block money flow because they narrow the path through which it can enter. They decide it must come from one job, one client, one project. But abundance doesn't like tight spaces, it prefers open fields. When you relax your grip, your financial frequency expands, making room for large sums of money to move toward you freely. The ritual isn't complicated. In fact, it's beautifully simple. You take a deep breath, affirm your abundance mindset, and mentally release every rigid expectation. This shifts you into energetic alignment, allowing the subconscious activation to do its job. When you stop demanding specifics, your RAS begins noticing opportunities that were invisible before. And opportunities, once seen, tend to multiply. Money manifestation becomes less about chasing and more about receiving what was already lining up for you. One of the most powerful shifts is accepting that money can come from multiple sources at once. A new client might appear out of nowhere. An old invoice might finally get paid. A family member may gift you something valuable. Investments could rise unexpectedly. You could receive a refund, a discount, or a chance encounter that leads to wealth energy expanding. When the mind stops insisting on how, the universe responds with here. It's a cooperative dance between intention and openness. You may be surprised by how quickly instant manifestation accelerates when you adopt this state. Suddenly, what once felt distant becomes incredibly accessible. The emotional pressure dissolves, and the money flow strengthens. This happens because tension narrows the channel, but openness widens it. A person in energetic alignment doesn't force, doesn't beg, and doesn't fear timelines. Instead, they trust the shift happening inside them, knowing the outside world will catch up, because it always does. This ritual also rewires the identity, reinforcing the belief that abundance is natural. When you allow money to come effortlessly, you teach your subconscious that receiving is safe, normal, and expected. This dissolves the final layer of limiting beliefs. Before long, large sums of money stop feeling like surprises and start feeling like extensions of who you've become. And once your subconscious accepts this new financial identity, wealth expansion becomes a default state rather than a distant dream. One helpful practice is gently repeating throughout the day, "I allow money to come from anywhere." This simple phrase relaxes the nervous system and signals vibrational alignment. It shifts your RAS into a receptive mode, scanning for signs from the universe and highlighting synchronicities that match your abundance mindset. You're no longer forcing your reality, you're partnering with it. That partnership is what makes the ritual work so quickly and so consistently. As you settle into this relaxed state of receiving, something profound becomes clear. The ritual isn't about money at all, it's about liberation. It frees your energy from fear, your identity from limitation, and your perception from rigidity. And with that freedom comes the doorway to a completely new relationship with wealth, one where manifestation becomes effortless and your next chapter begins opening before you even ask.